What a dirty, stupid, poor cleaner. You are poor and I can treat you any way I want. Victoria screamed as she lunged at the cleaning lady, knocking her bucket over and slapping her face repeatedly. Hello family, welcome back. Please take a moment to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. It truly means a lot to us. Don't forget to share it with your friends and loved ones and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. So sit back and relax as we dive into the story. Everyone in the Lagos office stood frozen in shock. Coffee cups stopped halfway to mouths. Keyboards went silent. The only sound was the splash of dirty soap water spreading across the marble floor and the sharp crack of Victoria's hand against skin. Ella raised her head slowly, her body soaked in the filthy water she had used to clean all day. Her cheek burned red. Her hands trembled. But her eyes blazed with something stronger than pain. I might be a cleaner, yes, Ella said, her voice shaking with fury and hurt. But I will expose everything you've done in this company. It ends now. I will put an end to all the secrets and reveal it all. The crowd gasped. Whispers rippled through the office like wind through grass. What secrets? What could a poor cleaner possibly know? And who would believe her word against Victoria's? Just then the glass doors swung open. Mr. Gregory, the billionaire CEO, walked into his company building. His expensive shoes clicked against the floor. His tailored suit was perfect. But when he saw the scene before him, his jaw dropped open in complete shock. Ella stood there, dripping wet, her uniform clinging to her thin frame. Victoria's hand was still raised in the air, frozen like a statue. The other employees scattered backward, pretending they had seen nothing. Mr. Gregory's eyes moved from Victoria to Ella, then to the overturned bucket and the puddle of dirty water spreading across his expensive floor. His face went from confused to angry in seconds. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Victoria finally lowered her hand. Her face went pale as she realized her boss had witnessed everything. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. For the first time in years, Victoria had no excuse, no lie, no way to twist the truth. Ella stood perfectly still, water dripping from her hair, her chest rising and falling with each heavy breath. She had nothing left to lose now. She had already decided to speak the truth, no matter what happened next. Mr. Gregory took one step forward. Then another. His face was unreadable. The entire office waited to see what the powerful billionaire would do. Would he believe his trusted assistant of many years? Or would he listen to the words of a poor cleaner who had only worked there for a few weeks? 3 weeks earlier, Ella had stood in a long line outside Mr. Gregory's company building in Victoria Island, Lagos. Her daughter Joy had hugged her tightly that morning before she left their small room in Ajigano. "Mommy, you will get the job," Joy had whispered, kneeling down to pray. "I know you will. I pray for guidance and wins in your life." Those words gave Ella strength as she waited with 2 other women. When the security guard finally let them inside, Mr. Gregory sat behind his massive desk, looking at each woman carefully. "A cleaning job is not just a simple task," he explained, his voice deep and serious. "Whoever cleans my desk will have access to my files and laptop. I want someone with integrity." The first woman, Sandra, walked in wearing a tight dress and too much perfume. She leaned forward as she handed him her file, smiling in a way that made Ella uncomfortable. Mr. Gregory looked through her papers and saw glowing reviews from past employers. "She's the best maid ever. Gave me so much pleasure," one review said. Mr. Gregory frowned slightly but thanked her politely. Something about Sandra didn't feel right to him. The second applicant was Patricia, a former musician who had lost everything after a scandal. She walked in with her head high, acting like she was doing them a favor. "So why should we hire you?" Mr. Gregory asked, flipping through her empty file. Patricia smirked. "I'm sure you know me already. You can Google me." Mr. Gregory looked at her with surprise. "Google you? Within these 4 walls, you must show skill for the job you're applying for. Whatever fame you had before isn't what we need here." Patricia rolled her eyes and walked to the waiting room, annoyed. Finally, Ella sat down. She wore her cleanest dress, though it was old and faded. Her hands were rough from years of hard work. "What brings you here?" Mr. Gregory asked gently. "My name is Ella." "Thank you, sir, for having me," she said politely. "I have a little daughter at home who will start school soon. I worked as a cleaner in my village for years. Moving to Lagos was my decision for a better life." Mr. Gregory studied her face carefully. He couldn't tell if she was being completely honest, so he decided to test all 3 women. "Come back tomorrow morning," he told them. "There will be one final test." The next morning, the three women arrived to find the office completely empty. No security guards. No staff. The doors were wide open and papers were scattered everywhere. What's going on here? Patricia asked, walking inside. That's when she spotted a gold Rolex watch on the table. It was Mr. Gregory's expensive watch, the one he had worn during the interview. Patricia recognized it immediately, grabbed it and slipped it into her purse. Sandra looked around and saw no one to impress, so she just stood there doing nothing. But Ella quietly began picking up the scattered papers and organizing them. She found a broom and started sweeping. She didn't care that nobody was watching or applauding her actions. She simply did what was right. What the women didn't know was that Mr. Gregory was watching everything through hidden security cameras. He saw Patricia steal his watch. He saw Sandra do nothing. And he saw Ella cleaning diligently when she thought no one was looking. When the women were about to leave, Mr. Gregory stepped out with his assistant, Victoria. "Ella, you are hired," he announced. Those words exploded like fireworks in Ella's heart. She jumped with joy while the other women left angrily. But as Victoria watched Ella celebrate, jealousy began growing in her heart like poison. Victoria had worked beside Mr. Gregory for years, secretly hoping he would one day notice her and fall in love with her. Now this poor humble cleaner was getting attention she didn't deserve. Victoria's eyes narrowed as she looked at Ella's simple clothes and rough hands. But beneath those rags, Victoria could see something that terrified her. Natural beauty and genuine kindness. "I will never allow this stupid cleaner to ruin my chance of marrying him," Victoria whispered to herself, her hands clenching into fists. That evening, Ella rushed home to their tiny room in Ajigunal. As soon as she opened the door, Joy ran to her with bright eyes. "Mommy, how did it go?" Joy asked excitedly. Ella bent down and hugged her daughter tightly. "I got the job, my baby. Mommy got the job." Joy screamed with happiness and started jumping around their small living room. "Yeah. I told you God would hear my prayer." They laughed, danced, and played music from Ella's old phone. For the first time in months, their home was filled with laughter and light. Ella took a small portion of her savings and bought a tiny pizza from the street corner. It wasn't much, but to them it was a feast. They sat on the floor eating and laughing, teasing each other between bites. "Mommy, when you start getting rich, will you buy me a bicycle?" Joy asked with pizza sauce on her cheek. "Ella smiled warmly. I'll buy you two. One pink, one yellow." They burst into laughter again. That night, after Joy fell asleep, Ella looked at her daughter's peaceful face and whispered, "Everything I do it for you." But as she lay down to sleep, Victoria's cold words from earlier echoed in her mind like a warning bell. The next morning, Ella woke up early and arrived at the office before anyone else. She had decided to win Victoria's heart with kindness and hard work. She cleaned the lobby, the stairs, and all the offices. She made sure there wasn't a single speck of dust anywhere. She even arranged fresh flowers near the reception desk. When Victoria arrived and saw the spotless office, her lips twisted into a cruel smile. "So," Victoria said slowly, walking around and inspecting everything. "You've been busy." Ella smiled gently. "Yes, Ma. I cleaned everywhere before you came." Victoria dragged her manicured fingers across a clean table. Then, without warning, she tipped her coffee cup over, spilling the hot liquid across the surface. "Oops," Victoria said coldly. "I think you missed a spot." Ella froze, her hands trembling. "Ma, I just cleaned there." Victoria turned sharply, her voice snapping like a whip. "Did I ask for excuses or for cleaning? Clean it again. And if I see one single mark, you're out of here." Ella's eyes filled with tears as she got down on her knees to clean the spilled coffee. No matter how hard she worked, it would never be enough for Victoria. That was when she heard a calm, deep voice behind her. "Ella." She gasped and quickly wiped her tears. Mr. Gregory, the CO, was standing at the doorway, looking at her with concern in his eyes. "Sir, good morning, sir," she said, forcing a smile and standing up quickly. Mr. Gregory frowned. "Were you crying?" Ella hesitated. "No, sir. The soap just entered my eyes." Mr. Gregory walked closer, folding his arms. "Are you sure about that?" "Yes, sir," she whispered, looking down at the floor. Mr. Gregory studied her face for a moment, then spoke gently. "After work today, I'd like to cheer you up. I do this for my staff sometimes to make them feel at home." Ella looked up in surprise. "Sir, you mean me?" He smiled kindly. "Yes, you. You've worked hard since you started and I see it. You deserve a little kindness too." Her eyes widened in disbelief. She couldn't believe the billionaire CEO was being this considerate toward a simple cleaner like her. Victoria, who had been listening from around the corner, clenched her fists so tightly her nails dug into her palms. Her face turned red with rage and jealousy. That evening, when work ended, Ella rushed home, washed her hands and face and looked through her small box of clothes. She wanted to dress nicely, but all she had were her cleaning uniforms. She stared at them for a moment, then sighed. "It's clean and decent. That's all that matters," she whispered to herself. Soon, a shiny black car pulled up outside her building. The driver stepped out and opened the door for her. When Mr. Gregory looked out from the car window and saw her wearing her janitor uniform, he froze for a second. His eyes softened with something between surprise and deep admiration. "You wore your work uniform?" he asked gently. Before she could respond with embarrassment, Mr. Gregory gestured for her to follow him. They crossed the street to a nearby boutique in Lekki, one of those elegant stores with glass doors and soft music playing. The shop attendants froze when they saw Mr. Gregory walk in with a cleaner, but he didn't care about their stares. "Please," he told them firmly, "find something simple, classy, and elegant for her." The attendants helped Ella into a soft cream-colored dress that fit her perfectly. They brushed her hair out of its tight bun and added light makeup. When she stepped out of the dressing room, Mr. Gregory couldn't hide his amazement. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Wow, you look perfect." Ella blushed deeply, her hands trembling with nervousness and joy. That evening at the Pearl, the most popular restaurant in Lagos, the two of them sat across from each other at a private table by the window. Mr. Gregory tried to keep the conversation casual, but he couldn't stop watching her. The way Ella spoke with such humility touched his heart. The way she thanked the waiter warmly made him smile. The way her eyes lit up when she saw the city lights outside the window was different from anyone he had ever met. "You're smart, Ella," Mr. Gregory said, nodding slowly. "And you have a sense of integrity I rarely see these days." Ella looked down shyly, a small smile on her lips. "Thank you, sir. I just believe in doing things right even when no one is watching." Her words hit him deeply. He realized she wasn't just a cleaner. She was a woman of wisdom and character. Meanwhile, across town, Victoria sat in her car outside the restaurant. She had followed Mr. Gregory's driver secretly, keeping a safe distance. When she saw them sitting together through the window, laughing and talking, her heart filled with burning hatred. She clenched her jaw so tightly it hurt. Her hands gripped the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white. Tears of anger rolled down her cheeks. "How dare he," she whispered to herself. "How dare he choose her over me?" By morning, Victoria had gathered all the information she needed. She marched into Mr. Gregory's office, her voice dripping with fake concern. "Sir, I thought you should know something about that new cleaner you've been spending time with," Victoria said sweetly. Mr. Gregory raised an eyebrow, looking up from his laptop. "What is it, Victoria?" "She's not who you think she is," Victoria continued, stepping closer to his desk. "That woman has a child. A daughter. She's a single mother, probably looking for someone rich to fund her lifestyle. You need to be very careful, sir." Mr. Gregory looked up slowly. His face was calm but unreadable. Then he spoke words that shocked Victoria to her core. "Victoria, that makes me respect her even more." "What?" Victoria stammered, her eyes going wide. "Do you know what it means for a woman to raise a child alone and still come to work every day with dignity?" Mr. Gregory asked, his voice firm. "That's not something to look down on, Victoria. It's something to admire." Victoria's fake smile vanished completely. Her heart sank like a stone in water. She realized her plan had completely backfired. The very thing she meant to use to destroy Ella had become the bridge that drew Mr. Gregory closer to her instead. Victoria left his office feeling defeated and more jealous than ever before. And so it became a routine. Every day after work, Mr. Gregory would take Ella out for a drive. Sometimes they went to the Pearl restaurant. Sometimes they just got ice cream or walked through the park in Ikoyi. Each time before she left the car, he would smile warmly and press a small envelope of money into her hand. "For Joy," he would say kindly. "Make sure she's happy." Joy would run to the door every evening shouting excitedly, "Mommy, did Uncle Gregory give us ice cream money again?" Ella would laugh, lift her daughter up high and say, "Yes, my baby. Uncle Gregory said you should be happy." And every night, they shared laughter and warmth in their tiny home in Ajigunle, completely unaware that envy was growing like a dangerous storm inside Victoria's heart. Victoria had changed dramatically. She came to work later than usual. She smiled less and less. She barked orders at everyone with twice the cruelty she had shown before. Her jealousy consumed her every single time she saw Ella's face. That same week, During one of their usual evening drives, Mr. Gregory noticed Ella was unusually quiet. He looked at her from across the car with concern. "You've been quiet since we left the office," he said gently. "What's wrong?" Ella hesitated, her fingers twisting nervously in her lap. She took a deep breath and sighed. "It's about Miss Victoria," Ella finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "She's not kind, sir. Not just to me but to everyone. The staff are afraid of her. She insults people and overworks them constantly." Her voice cracked with emotion. "I wasn't even going to say anything because I didn't want to cause trouble. But I can't keep quiet anymore. People are suffering under her, sir." Mr. Gregory went completely silent. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. Victoria had been his trusted assistant for many years. He had never suspected she could be treating people so badly. "All right," he said finally, his voice serious. "I'll look into it myself. I promise you that." The next morning, one of the secretaries accidentally mentioned to another worker that Mr. Gregory had started asking questions about Victoria's behavior. Word spread quickly through the office like wildfire. By afternoon, Victoria had heard everything. Her face turned red with rage. She knew exactly who had reported her to the CEO. Victoria found Ella in the cleaning supply room, mopping the floor quietly and humming softly to herself. Ella had no idea what was about to happen. "You!" Victoria's voice roared through the air like thunder. Ella turned around in shock, her eyes wide with fear. "Ma! Shut up!" Victoria yelled, grabbing the mop from Ella's hands and throwing it violently across the room. "You think because the CEO likes you, you can embarrass me? You think you're smart?" Before Ella could answer, Victoria's hand swung through the air in pure anger. Once, twice, the slaps landed hard across Ella's face. The sound echoed through the small room. Ella stumbled backward, tears filling her eyes immediately. Her cheek burned with pain. "Ma, please stop," she cried out, raising her hands to shield her face from more blows. Victoria grabbed Ella by her uniform and shook her roughly. "What did you tell him about me? What lies did you spread?" "I only told the truth," Ella sobbed. "You hurt people, Ma. You hurt everyone." Victoria raised her hand again, preparing to strike even harder. But just as her palm was about to connect with Ella's face, a deep commanding voice thundered behind her. "Victoria, stop it right now." Victoria froze completely. Her raised hand hung in the air like a statue. Her heart dropped into her stomach. She knew that voice. Slowly she turned around. Mr. Gregory stood at the doorway, his eyes blazing with anger she had never seen before. His jaw was clenched tight. His fists were pressed firmly against his sides. Behind him stood several employees who had heard the commotion and come running. They all stared at Victoria in shock and horror. "Sir, I can explain," Victoria began, her voice shaking. But Mr. Gregory's voice cut through the air like a knife. "Victoria, you're fired." Everyone gasped. The room went completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. Victoria turned slowly, her face going pale white. "Sir, what did you just say?" Mr. Gregory's tone was cold and final. "I said you're fired. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out, and I'll be adding this incident to your termination report." Victoria's eyes widened in complete disbelief. She fell to her knees instantly, her voice breaking into desperate sobs. "Sir, please. Please don't do this to me," she begged, crawling toward him. "I've worked here for years. I gave this company everything. I wake up early every day to look perfect for you. I brush my hair. I wear your favorite colors." Tears rolled down her cheeks as her voice cracked with emotion. "I thought maybe you'd see me. I thought maybe you'd love me one day." She pointed at Ella with shaking hands. "But instead you saw her. That dirty cleaner with soap water on her clothes. She smells like bleach, for crying out loud. What does she have that I don't?" Mr. Gregory looked at Victoria calmly. His voice was low but heavy with meaning. "It's not about how you look on the outside, Victoria," he said quietly. "It's about who you are on the inside." He walked closer and looked down at her kneeling figure. "You've spent years pretending to be perfect. But you forgot that true beauty is found in kindness, not in cruelty. You forgot that real worth comes from how you treat others, especially those who can do nothing for you." Victoria broke down completely, crying as two security guards walked into the room. "Please, sir," she sobbed as they lifted her up. "Please give me another chance." But Mr. Gregory shook his head firmly. "You had many chances, Victoria. You chose to waste every single one of them." The guards escorted her out of the building as she screamed and cried. Her voice echoed through the hallways until finally the front doors closed behind her. Weeks passed and rumors spread around Lagos like rain during the wet season. Victoria had lost everything. No company wanted to hire her. Her name had been stained by her own cruel actions. Stories of how she mistreated workers spread from office to office across the city. Then, in a twist of fate that nobody expected, Victoria ended up applying for cleaning jobs at different companies. A cleaner. The very position she had once mocked and looked down upon with such hatred. When Ella heard this news, she felt no joy in Victoria's suffering. Instead, she felt sadness for a woman who had destroyed herself with her own jealousy and pride. Meanwhile, Ella flourished like a flower in sunshine. Mr. Gregory promoted her to his personal assistant. She now wore beautiful business suits and sat in meetings with important clients. Everyone in the company respected her, admired her kindness, and trusted her completely. Ella moved from her tiny room in Ajigunle to a modest but comfortable apartment in Surulere. Joy now attended a good school with a proper uniform and new books. Their lives had changed completely. One Saturday afternoon, Mr. Gregory drove to Ella's new neighborhood. He had asked permission to visit, and Ella nervously prepared her home, making sure everything was clean and welcoming. As soon as she opened the door, Joy ran out laughing and shouting, "Uncle Gregory!" Mr. Gregory bent down with a warm smile and lifted the little girl high in his arms. Joy giggled happily, wrapping her small arms around his neck. Ella stood at the doorway watching them together. Her eyes filled with tears of gratitude and something deeper that she was afraid to name. Mr. Gregory put Joy down gently and turned to face Ella. His expression became serious but kind. "Ella, I need to tell you something," he began, stepping closer. "I know you have a daughter. I know everything about your past, your struggles, everything. And still I want to be here. I want to take care of you both." Ella's hand flew to her mouth. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Sir, I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Don't call me sir anymore," Mr. Gregory said gently, reaching out to take her hand. "Just call me Gregory. And you don't have to say anything right now. Let's just see where this goes. I don't want to rush anything. I just know one thing for certain." He paused, looking into her eyes with complete honesty. "I don't want to lose you, Ella. You've shown me what real beauty looks like. You've taught me that integrity and kindness matter more than anything else in this world." Ella nodded through her tears, unable to speak. Her heart was so full of emotion she thought it might burst. Joy, who had been listening quietly, suddenly jumped between them and hugged both their legs. "Does this mean Uncle Gregory will be my daddy?" she asked innocently. Both adults laughed through their tears. Mr. Gregory bent down and lifted Joy again, then reached out his other arm to pull Ella into their embrace. "We'll take it one day at a time," he said softly. "But yes, little one, I want to be part of your family." In that beautiful moment, the three of them stood together. A poor cleaner who became an assistant. A billionaire who learned that true worth isn't measured by money or status. And a little girl whose prayers had been answered in ways she never imagined. Ella thought back to that terrible day when Victoria had attacked her. She remembered the pain, the humiliation, the fear. But she also remembered something her grandmother had told her long ago. Sometimes the stones your enemies throw at you become the very steps God uses to lift you higher. What Victoria meant for shame and destruction, God had turned into favor and blessing. The cruelty that was supposed to break Ella had instead revealed her strength and character to the one person who mattered most. As the sun set over Lagos that evening, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Ella realized something important. True beauty, real success, and lasting happiness don't come from tearing others down. They come from lifting others up, from choosing kindness when cruelty would be easier, from doing what's right even when nobody is watching. And somewhere across the city, Victoria sat alone in a small room, finally understanding the lesson she had learned too late. The position you mock today might be the position you need tomorrow. The person you hurt today might be the person who could have helped you tomorrow. But for Ella, Joy, and Gregory, tomorrow was full of hope, laughter, and the promise of a beautiful future built on truth, kindness, and love. We've come to the end of today's story, and I hope it touched your heart. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe for more powerful and inspiring stories. See you in the next one.